One of the questions I get asked all the time is, what's a great drink for me to learn to make if I'm just getting started with mixology, just getting into cocktails? And to me, the answer, the best answer, is a sour, which is actually a whole category of cocktails that have been around really forever, for as long as we've been mixing drinks. These are genuine classics. They are easy to make. They are delicious to drink, and they really show off what mixology is all about. So today, I'm talking about classic sours that can really open the door to mixology for you. So first things first, what is a sour? I guess to explain this, I should start by offering that even though we now use the word cocktail to mean any mixed drink, originally it referred to a really specific category of mixed drinks that involved spirit, sugar, and bitters. Essentially, the old-fashioned and its cousins. And so even though in common parlance the word cocktail today stands in for every mixed beverage under the sun, once it was held alongside these other categories of drinks, like the fix, the fizz, the flips, sours, highballs, punches, and so on. And so basically a sour is a mixed drink that combines spirit, citrus juice, and sugar. If you think about it, that covers a heck of a lot of drinks. It's not unreasonable to call grog, which was first enjoyed by sailors, I think of the late 1500s, as a preventative to ward off scurvy and the like, merely the first sour. Definitely fits the bill, although typically it was mixed much weaker than you'd expect to be served at any bar today. As far as I could find, the first recipe for a sour in print shows up in Jerry Thomas' 1862 Bartender's Guide, and actually you'll find that in David Wondrich's Imbibe, probably my favorite cocktail book. It's going to be available in an affiliate link down below. It is essentially an annotated explanation of Jerry Thomas' guide covering backgrounds and drinks and updating measurements to things that make sense to us. All right, let's get to it already. Enough of this jibba jabba. I want to kick this one off with a New York Sour because of all the drinks in this list, it's the one I really need to make again here and correct myself on a bit. I covered this drink a ways back. Back then I made it with an egg white, and an egg white is often a great addition to a sour, and it might have even been done in the 1890s when you were really dandying up a drink, so to speak. But in the New York Sour, it's kind of less than ideal. The New York Sour, which, by the way, was probably invented in Boston or around Chicago, according to Dave Wondrich, is typically served layered, right? So you got this float of red wine on top, and when you add an egg white to a drink, if you really shake it in there the right way, you should reduce the overall density of the drink, actually, which can make it like literally physically impossible to get anything to float on it, which is exactly what happened when I made that New York Sour. Have I gotten a New York Sour with an egg white in it to properly float? Yes, absolutely, but maybe like 1 out of 10 tries at it. There's just so many variables that are involved that are going to be largely beyond your control. So I don't know, it just doesn't really work out that often. Anyway, here's how I typically make a New York Sour. I'm gonna need my shaker, because it's of course a shaken drink. There it is. Oh, I don't need simple, do I? So here's how I typically make a New York Sour. I go with 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup. Gum syrup if you have it. I don't think it's necessary, but you know, whatever. This is just a 2-to-1 simple syrup, 3/4 of an ounce, okay. That would be 22 milliliters if you are metrically inclined. I need an ounce of lemon juice, which I'm gonna go get a lemon. Oh my God, I am a disaster. I need 1 ounce of lemon juice. I've got a lemon right here. We're gonna slice it in half. Grab my juicer. Squeezy. Easy squeezy lemon, easy peasy lemon squeezy. I think that's what you're supposed to say, right? Is that dumb saying? 1 ounce of lemon juice, 2 ounces of rye. This will be 60 milliliters or 2 ounces of your favorite rye or whiskey. I like Rittenhouse here, but you know, whatever you like is good. You should just use what you like. And that's it, we're ready to shake this. But I need ice, which is on the other side of the room. This is so much fun. We're just having just a blast, I'm gonna go get my ice now. As I am wont to do, I will put in 1 large ice cube, and then I will crack a second one. My notes tell me, of course, grab the appropriate glass, but I saw this on my shelf. It's actually an absinthe glass, and I thought, no, it's not the right glass for this, but it is gonna be the right glass for this because I love the way this is gonna look. This is a beautiful glass. Use whatever you like. Strain that into our glass. And now we want to add a float of red wine by pouring off the back of a spoon. I think that traditionally you would have used a Bordeaux or a Claret here. I have a Rioja, which would be, I think, okay, but you know, it's okay. And how much do you use? I actually am okay eyeballing this. You know, you could measure out a half an ounce or whatever, or an ounce. An ounce, I think, is about right, but it's fine to eyeball this. Hopefully, if we do this right, we'll get a very nice float. And we did. Look at that. Oh, yeah, beautiful. That's a good wine, too, for this. You want something a little bit dry. Something... I like that a lot. Shit, I'm going upstairs with me later. And here we have the New York Sour, really the way that it is, you're gonna encounter it more often, without an egg white and with a good separation between the top and the bottom. So, correcting the record, and let's get into tasting this delicious drink because frankly, I think I need it. It's super hot in here. Oh my God. That is wonderful. I know red wine plus whiskey sour sounds crazy, but damn, it just works so good. And that's one of the reasons I think this is a great drink for beginners, because it's actually pretty easy to make. You'll be very pleased with yourself when you get that float to work really well. And it exemplifies the kind of insane transformation that can happen in a glass with the right combination of ingredients, okay? Oh my God, it's just like wonderful. That combination of the tart, sweet whiskey sour with the dry, moderating, and in this case, it's kind of buttery too, effects of the red wine, it's so pleasant and so refreshing and just, it's amazing. You know, because like I said before, you would never think that such a thing would work, but God, it works so good. It is just the right kind and sweetness, like just the right kind of sweetness, but just the right amount of the right kind of sweetness too. It has this fructose sweetness thing going on, and it's just divine. It's really good. It's very good. Extremely refreshing. It just makes the whole inside of your mouth salivate, and just, it's wonderful. It's just such a great drink when it's done right. So after the break, let's move on to the whiskey sour. I don't know about you, but these days, anything I can get delivered straight to my door is a huge plus. And Trade has the coffee covered. I should thank them for sponsoring this video, so thanks, Trade. So what exactly is Trade? It's a site that matches up your taste with the nation's top coffee roasters and has it delivered straight to your door on a schedule of your choosing. How do they do it? You take a little quiz on their site. It's just a teeny tiny quiz. It's not going to hurt you any. And their curators use that info to pair you up with coffee that they're pretty sure you're going to love. For what it's worth, I am pretty picky about my coffee, and they haven't missed me yet. They send it to you fresh and direct from the roaster, and you drink that glorious black magic brew. And at some point, you go back to their website and rate the coffee they sent. It was probably great, but if it wasn't perfect, you're going to let them know. And they're going to further tailor your picks to match. Send you more coffee. It's that simple. Did I mention the coffee comes right to your house and you don't even have to leave anymore? It's just you and the coffee and you all day long, all night long. Two of you, like however you enjoy that stuff is fine by me. So click the link down there and take their quiz. You're gonna get 30% off your first bag of coffee that way. Coffee. Let's do the venerable classic, the whiskey sour. The whiskey sour enjoyed absolutely enormous popularity as a mixed drink from basically the middle of the 1800s all the way up to the latter half of the 1900s. Over the years, some terrible things have been done in its name. I'm looking at you, little envelope of fake egg white sour mixy stuff. But when made properly, it is sublime, like just perfection of a cocktail. I made it on how to drink in the way old days when episodes like this were, I don't know, about 3 minutes long. And yes, angry comments people, I too often wish they could still be that long because my God, would it be a hell of a lot easier for me. But for a whole bunch of reasons we're not gonna get into today, they can't be, so meh. Anyway, I still love that recipe, and I really don't make it any different today than I did back then, except for maybe I go a little bit bigger. So I go with 2 ounces or 60 milliliters of rye or the whiskey of your choice, half an ounce or 15 milliliters, or more if you like it sweeter, as I often do, honestly, of simple syrup. And then 3/4 of an ounce, that's 22-ish milliliters for the metric folks, of lemon juice. Add an egg white in there. Dry shake it as you should with an egg white. And I want to caution you that when you dry shake something, your shaker seals up because of the cold inside. The cold reduces the air pressure inside there, and there's higher air pressure outside, so it's in a kind of a positive pressure environment. It prevents anything from coming out. When you do it without ice, that won't happen. So when you're dry shaking, be very, very careful that your shaker doesn't blow apart, because that's really when it can happen. Shake it again with some ice and strain it into a glass up, personally. I really like what garnishing this drink with a couple of drops of bitters on the head does. Maybe use a pick to scratch a swirl or some kind of pattern into it. It just really adds this whole extra dimension of smell and aroma to the drink, and it makes it extremely, extremely delicious. So we've done whiskey sours now 2 ways. Let's steer away from that and talk about the rum sour, otherwise known as a daiquiri. Is it a blender drink? No, it's not. I've talked about this before and it bears repeating, even though I love a blender drink, that's not what I'm talking about here. And it's not how I typically make a daiquiri. The daiquiri is of Cuban origin, and although there is a story about an American engineer inventing it while he was working in Cuba, and I presented that story in my episode on the daiquiri, that strikes me as being lies. I don't know. That's a tough one for me to buy, just for some reason. It might be true, it maybe not. I think that honestly, the daiquiri is a drink with a lot of inventors, you know, it's just so easy to come up with. I love a great daiquiri, and though they typically call for an unaged or very young rum, you're not gonna go wrong by using something with a little bit of oak on it. Havana Club 7-year is very nice, in other words, though the 3-year is considered standard. I like mine with a very simple 2-1-1 proportion. So I do 1 ounce or 30 milliliters of lime juice, 1 ounce or 30 mils of simple syrup, and I actually like a Demerara here when I have it, and 2 ounces or 60 mils of rum. And use the rum you like. There's no rules, you know? Just do what you want. Personally, I love the pot still stuff, you know, like rum Barbancourt, Haitian white, or Jamaican. So all these drinks have been kind of pre-prohibition cocktails. Let's move it forward now into the 20th century with the Jack Rose, bringing us to yet another base spirit here, Applejack. Traditionally, Applejack was made by taking the apple cider that you'd been fermenting all fall in the root cellar and leaving it outside to freeze in the winter so that you could toss out the chunks of frozen water, thereby concentrating the alcohol left over that wasn't frozen. This is called jacking, or jack distillation, hence Applejack. Nowadays, I don't think there's any commercial producers of this stuff using those traditional jacking techniques to get it there. As a distillation technique, it's actually fairly dangerous because it's just as good at concentrating methylates or wood alcohols as it is ethylates, and that can, you know, make you blind. The biggest producer of Applejack out there is Laird's Applejack in New Jersey, and they make great stuff. Though I'd go for the bottle and bond or the straight apple brandy if at all possible. They have one that's just called Applejack, and that one has some neutral grain spirits as a component. I think it's like 30% neutral grain. By the way, the Jack Rose, there's some discussion about where the name came from. I'd read in one place that it was named for a yegg, which was a old-timey slang for a safecracker that had gone to prison in the early 30s, but I think the drink is actually older than that, and it comes from Applejack and its coloration, its rose color, a Jack Rose. I made this drink on the show before. That recipe is the one to use. Half an ounce or 15 milliliters of grenadine. I hope you're making your own. An ounce or 30 milliliters of lime juice. And 2 ounces, that is 60 milliliters of Applejack. Shake it up with ice, strain it, serve it with a lime wheel or a maraschino cherry for garnish. These are extremely good. They are very, very good. Do they need an egg white as some sours do? No, I don't think so. I've never tried it actually, but I don't know. So in a few places I've seen the Sidecar referred to as the one good drink that comes out of Prohibition, and I think that that's complete nonsense, because at the very least it ignores another drink on this very list that's coming up after the Sidecar. But even though it's nonsense, I kind of do get the spirit of that statement, because by and large, the great classic drinks all have roots in the 1800s, and a lot of the drinks that were invented during Prohibition are kind of better off being forgotten. There's a bit of contention about who invented this drink, but it first appears in print in Harry McElhone's 1922 book. The sugared rim, which I consider to be pretty essential in this case, isn't even introduced until 1934. So you make this one first by preparing a coupe with a sugared rim. Do that by rubbing a lemon around the outside of the glass. You're gonna need to use some kind of citrus juice for this, either lemon or lime. Water won't do it because it doesn't turn dry into something sticky. And then you roll it or dip it in sugar. White sugar is fine. Set that aside. And in your shaker, add an ounce and a half or 45 mils of cognac. I usually like to use Pierre Ferrand 1840. 3/4 of an ounce of Curacao or triple sec, and 3/4 of an ounce, that's 22-ish milliliters for you metric folks, of lemon juice. Shake it up and strain it into the sugared coupe and enjoy. Coupe. I'm not like big on sidecars. It's just not really my jam. I'm not huge on a sidecar. It's not my favorite drink. But for a lot of people, it's really good. And it's one that maybe it's yours. If you want a brandy sour, this is that. Now onto one of my absolute favorite sours, and it's a gin sour, the Last Word. This drink was invented during Prohibition at the Detroit Athletic Club, rose to prominence, largely disappeared, and was sort of rediscovered during the cocktail revival. I cover that pretty extensively in the episode that I did on it, where I also talked about and demonstrated how easy it is to make variations on it. Once you understand how a last word formulation works, it really kind of opens the door to like, oh, what if I swap this in? What if I do that? You know, you can really play with the recipe. And even though there are millions of variations on this...
I've come millions of miles. Thousands of miles.
Millions. Even though there are many variations on it, I think the standard formulation is fantastic. In your shaker, you will need 30 mils or an ounce of lime juice. You're gonna need an ounce or same, 30 mils of maraschino. Again of chartreuse. And again of London dry gin. So it's all equal parts. All equal parts, maraschino, lime juice, London dry gin, and chartreuse. Maraschino, lime juice, London dry gin, chartreuse. Shake that up over ice, strain it, and kind of be blown away. For me, it's incredible, I think, what happens when you put these ingredients into the shaker together. It really synthesizes into just like this very complete and new experience. You know, it is one of the simplest and best examples of the kind of flavor synthesis and profile, like flavor profile evolution that you can achieve in drink making, and what is so alluring about making drinks. I think it's a great, like, oh shoot, I made that and I want to do that again kind of thing. It kind of blows your mind. So far, I've covered sours made with whiskey, rum, gin, and applejack, and we've got one more base spirit coming up right after the break. There's really only one thing left to cover the bases. It is a tequila sour, otherwise known as a margarita. Another drink with prohibition origins, further tossing that bit about the sidecar out the window. In my opinion, this drink is best kept simple and refreshing, and that's how I do it. I really don't like to muck about with I've seen a lot of orange juice in these and simple syrup. I don't bother with it. So I go with an ounce, that's 30 mils of lime juice, and the same of Curacao or triple sec, and 2 ounces of tequila. It's common to use a Blanco here, but I personally really like a Reposado like Fortaleza. General consensus is that an añejo would be a mistake, and personally from experience I agree. They just have something about it doesn't work. I don't know what it is. It's not that it's actually like, oh, it's a waste of an añejo. It's like, oh, this is a worse drink. I really like a salted rim here, but you could skip it if it's not your jam, or some people like to do like half salt, half clean, so that you have an option to drink with or without the salt. Some people, like Dave Arnold, recommend throwing a dash or 2 of saline solution, made like 10 gram or 8 grams of water to 2 grams of salt, and just kind of dissolve the salt in the water, put that in a shaker or something, shake that in, dasher into your glass. I have just a little bit left here, so we have to keep going. This episode was originally gonna have top 5 in its title, but while writing it up, I realized that I kind of needed it to be 6 because I wanted both the regular whiskey sour and the New York sour. I think they both deserve to be on here. And also, I want to make it this episode so that whatever you think of as your spirit of choice, you could find it in this episode. The only thing is that there's no mezcal representation in this. I guess if that's something you were looking for, I can't really think of any classics that cover it, but I did do a mezcal sour as a drink a while back for Game of Thrones. I'm actually pretty proud of that cocktail, and I am including a link to it here. I love that damn drink. It's very good, and I'm not even like a big mezcal drinker. It's called The Prince That Was Promised. If you like this episode, I hope you'll watch some of my other episodes and do the like, subscribe stuff. Maybe, why not? Give it a shot. Oh, hey, I don't know. Oh, hey, check out my Twitch at twitch.tv/Greg from HDD. Lots of live stuff going on over there, including Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition game that I'm hosting Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern currently. I hope you will tune in. I hope you'll see you there. We're making drinks in the bar. We're doing all kinds of stuff on Twitch. So Twitch is, if you want to hang out with me live and chat, Twitch is fun. If you like this episode, I hope you will check out some other of my episodes of How to Drink, which are currently populating the area around me. Oh, look at them. And I'm going to finish this drink. I think that was the right glass, by the way. I think we nailed it. Thanks for watching. I'm Greg.